Yeah, the Twisting Blade skill for the Rogue is really great in Diablo 4, but I've been a fan of the Barrage core skill that basically functions as a shotgun blast when close to an enemy, and of course an amazing AoE when further away as well. It also scales insanely well with the damage of your bow, so equip a better one and the power from the Barrage skill will increase significantly. Also, if the Inner Scythe specialization triggers, you get unlimited energy of course for 4 seconds. They can just spam this for an insane amount of damage in a short time. But also, when the specialization is not active, you can just spam the Barrage skill because this build has a ton of energy regen. I got a way to drop a lot of health potions with this tactic as well. I really love this build. It's easy to make, amazing for leveling, and I could easily survive and kill enemies in World Tier 3, even though I was way below the level of those enemies, as you see in this footage. So I first quickly want to go over the most important active skills and the combo that I do, then look more in depth at the skill tree and every skill that I unlock. You already see it right here, but I will go more in depth on it, and then I will also share some crucial legendary perks that elevate this build to the next level. Of course, if you at any point found the build useful, then leave a like, that would really help me out, and subscribe for way more Diablo 4 content like this. So first, during combat, I just try and get as many enemies in a group close to each other, then drop the Death Trap ultimate and the Poison Trap, and immediately pop the Shadow Imbuement skill, and then just stand close to the enemies, spam the Barrage skill, and this will kill most regular groups. If not, then after popping the traps and the Shadow Imbuement, you can keep an eye out for other skills that will be quickly back from cooldown. Use them when available, although you're mostly spamming the Barrage skill. And if your energy is low, use your basic skill, which gives you some energy back. Although, if you really got the right perks and upgrades, that again I will talk about a little later in the video, then you won't be using the basic skill that often anymore. Still, I think it's great to get the Invigorating Strike basic skill, just one rank, and again this for the energy regeneration. Get the enhanced for even more regeneration when hitting crowd controlled and injured enemies, so enemies below the 30% health. And I go for the fundamental one, so you can make enemies while you are below the 50% energy vulnerable. And again, you will mostly use the basic attack when you are low on energy anyways, so this is great. Obviously, Barrage is upgraded to level 5. You see 7 here because I got +2 on an item, which is nice. And with the enhanced skill, you ricochet those arrows 100% of the time when hitting vulnerable enemies or when doing a crit. And I choose Improved Barrage here, so the third cast makes enemies vulnerable, so great synergy, and of course vulnerable enemies also take 20% more damage. Like, you will be spamming this ability anyways, so the third cast is easily achievable, and because you stand close to the enemies, I invest 1 point in the Sturdy skill for now. You can always go to 3 later on, but at least make sure that you got the 3 in the Siphoning Strikes to heal yourself when you critically strike close enemies. Like, this will help you get health back while spamming Barrage close to targets, and also if you are low health, with this combo you can just quickly get back to full health again. I got 3 points in the Weapon Mastery skill for a nice passive damage increase, and then continue to the Poison Trap, which is crucial. With the enhanced skill you also knock down enemies, so you get some crowd control, and I also go for the Countering Poison Trap to have a 30% chance to get my Imbuement skill back, so I can use that one more often. And again, I go for the Shadow Imbuement skill, only 1 skill point in here, and I go for the blended upgrades, but more important is that I also spend 1 skill point in Shadow Crash to get to the Consuming Shadows, because this means that each time you kill an enemy with shadow damage, you generate 30 energy, which really helps me use the Barrage more often. So yeah, killing enemies with the Barrage, with Shadow, gives you more energy back, but the Death Trap ultimate is also amazing as it also deals shadow damage, so can also generate energy when it kills enemies. And of course want to get the upgrades, so for one you pull in enemies, can line them up for the combo, really great. And with this one, if the Death Trap kills enemies with this skill unlocked, the cooldown is reduced by 10 seconds. Like, you really just want to use these traps whenever they are available, so having skills like this are great. And I also got Aftermath rank 3, so then when using the ultimate I immediately get 75 energy back, which is also handy. I also get the Trap Mastery here to increase the critical strike chance against vulnerable and crowd controlled enemies, so basically all the enemies in the combo. And I pick up the Innervasion rank 3 for a 30% chance to gain 8 energy, and the Second Wind, where every 100 energy you spend grants 15% increased lucky hit chance for 5 seconds. Like, you will be spending a ton of energy, so then having the increase is nice. nice because that brings us to the key passive I use, which is exposure. Like, this is a lucky hit chance whereby dealing direct damage to an enemy affected by a trap skill, you have a 25% chance to reduce the active cooldown of your trap skills. So again, you can use them more often. And there's also a chance to drop a cluster of exploding stun grenades that deal physical damage and stun enemies, so more crowd control. Like, these are really the key skills to get, and then you can have the amazing combo work, but we're still missing one active skill. Like, you can go for the shadow step, the teleport, and immediately be in range for a nice barrage, but I personally prefer the concealment, so the stealth skill to break out of sticky situations, then you get some time to maybe wait on cooldowns, position yourself again, and with the upgrades you can then also gain 40 energy when doing so, which is enough for another barrage. And I use the countering concealment upgrade, so then if you use a skill while still in stealth, that skill will always crit. So yes, a full barrage will then crit, meaning that all those hits will ricochet to enemies as well. Like, I just love to have this spell, as you're not very mobile without it. Now you can more easily dodge AoE attacks. I tried other skills as well. I'm sure some of them will work, but I liked concealment the most. Although you can totally switch that of course out for something else. As for other passive skills, you can do precision imbuement for extra crit chance when shooting those shadow arrows. You can spend points in exploit to deal more damage to enemies above the 80% health or injured, so below 30%. But it's mostly the malice that is really great, because then you get increased damage to vulnerable enemies, and there will be a lot of them. I also spent some points in the concussive, where knocking back or knocking down an enemy, which you do with the traps, increase the critical strike chance against them, also great. And in terms of stats, dexterity and strength are of course key, but also other stats that increase the damage to close enemies are really handy. And there are multiple legendary perks that take this build to the next level, although the key one is totally the one you all see on this weapon, where Barrage's arrows have a 20% chance to split into 2 arrows whenever they ricochet, which again is always if you hit vulnerable enemies or do crits. So then you have a chance to basically double your damage sometimes. It's kinda wild. Like, the build is already strong without specific legendary perks, but the moment I got this legendary from taking out a treasure goblin on world tier 3, again totally doable, and this was when I was way below the level of this treasure goblin on world tier 3 as well. So yeah, equipping the perk changed a lot, but you can also get it as an aspect by completing the Shadowed Plunge dungeon over here on the map. You will need to complete the stronghold in the area first, and the value of the perk will be lower, but it still makes sure that you can get the perk, and then by going to an occultist in one of the cities, you can put it on an item there. Other aspects that are amazing to put on some items is this defensive one, where if you damage a vulnerable enemy with a core skill, you get an up to 10% chance to drop a healing potion. And I tried it, and the potions really drop left and right after fighting a big group and using the barrage a lot. So this is really great to make your survivability a bit better, because you are kind of squishy with this build, so that's why you use a lot of crowd control, and of course you simply take out enemies very fast. You get this aspect from the dungeon over here on the map, and also this dungeon is great over here. Completing this namely gives you the aspect of arrow storms. This makes sure that your marksman skills, so the barrage, has a 10% chance to create an arrow storm at an enemy's location, dealing physical damage over 3 seconds. You can have up to 5 active at a time, so these can appear often and increase your damage output even more, so I found them useful. And for extra energy regen, you can look for this perk, where if a core skill, so barrage, hits 5 or more enemies, 40% of the resource cost is refunded. This one is also great, giving you 13 energy for every 25% of your life that you heal. And with the potions dropping left and right and the health you get back from like doing this combo, this can also really help. Now, of course, let me know if you tried the build and found ways to make it even better in the comments down below. Subscribe for way more build videos and other Diablo 4 content like this. A like would, of course, really help me out. And check out another Diablo video on mistakes that you don't want to make by clicking on the screen. I will speak to you soon. Goodbye.